Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Borough Council's Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting today, the 25th of March. The meeting is virtual, obviously, therefore is not taking place in a physical location, following the guidelines set out in Section 78 of the Coronavirus Act 2020. You would note that the Council are live streaming this meeting to the Borough Council YouTube channel, which can be viewed on the link that was set out in the agenda. The whole meeting will be recorded except where there are items of confidentiality or items that are exempt. So thank you for that. Okay, part one, number one. That's about right, isn't it? Sorry about that, everybody. Apologies for absence and attendance of substitute members. Now, I have an apology for Wendy McClure. Anybody else?
I think, from memory, I think Councillor Mooney sent his apologies as well. I think that's right.
Thank you, Steve. And Councillor Edwards is substituting for Derek Gorn, who is at the hospital. Okay. Number two, urgent items. To note any items which the Chairman considers to be an urgent nature. There have not been any of those. Delegations, to receive notice from members who may wish to move any delegated matter non-delegated. We've had none of those. Admission of public and press. To consider whether the public and press should be excluded from the meeting during consideration of any items on the agenda. That's self-explanatory. Declarations of interest, anybody? No declarations of interest, thank you. The minutes of the last meeting from January are at the back of this agenda. Have we read the minutes and we're happy to accept those minutes as a true reflection of the last meeting?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. And they will be signed at the earliest opportunity. Public participation. Any member of the public who wishes to ask a question or make representation or present a deputation or petition at this meeting should have applied no later than 5 p.m. 2 working days before the meeting. We haven't had any of those. Okay, so for decision today, we've got two items at 8 and 9. 8 is the update from the working groups, and number 9 is the update report from the corporate parenting working group. So we shall move to agenda item 8. Just give me a minute to get there. And this is the update report from the working groups. So the first one on the agenda is street cleansing and waste. This review, as we're all well aware, has been put on pause whilst discussions take place between council officers and FCC. And say that's ongoing. It would not be right to speak on that at this moment. So are you happy with that, Steve?
Can I just say that I did have a conversation with Steph Cordon, and she's aware that we want something when they're in a position to give us something. I think it's just a matter of workload. So she knows what we're after. She asked me to clarify that, and I did. So it's just about the workload, really. The time to leave it. I don't know if that fits with what it is, John.
Have you anything on that, John?
Yeah, I understood that the partnership board were going to be briefed within the next week or two, because I think there was a report there's been a number of policies that have gone to the executive, and my understanding was that the partnership board will be briefed shortly.
Okay, I don't think I've not heard or had an invite to that, and I don't think Steve has. Have you, Steve?
No.
Right, I'm not in the loop on that, so I'll chase Steph up and find out what's happening.
He did say she asked me for clarification of what we wanted at this meeting, and I outlined to her what that was, and she said that's fine. So I think it's just a matter of workload as many as it.
Okay, thanks, Steve. If we could chase that one up, John, that would be
will do.
Helpful. And if there's going to be a partnership board meeting, that will be even more helpful. So thank you for that. 313, impact of COVID going forward. Bill.
Hello, so we're on with us. Yeah, well, we are still monitoring it as a little group, but before I say anything, I had a request as chair of this to investigate a thing of, it was a request that was sent to me in response to consider a view of rejected business grants from Liberata. So what I'd done was, we formed a little group, I called a meeting and we got a group together to see what was happening with Liberata. And from that, we decided that we wanted to talk to Sue Roberts, who finances. And so she came along to one of our working groups and she gave us an update on what was happening. And it was quite explanatory that a lot of the things that was happening were some people were not putting them in time, blah, blah, blah. The outcome of it was that we were happy with our response to us, and it will not be happening again with Liberata. It is really getting looked into. So we're up to speed with anybody that's a branch in the meantime or in the future. Everything will be okay. So with that, I've got a few little things that I would like to talk about on the COVID thing. I've received one today. The country perceives are coming out of lockdown restrictions from next Monday. And now this is going to cause a few problems, I would imagine, because people will start to think we're okay, we're up and running. I would just like to make the people out there, we're not out of this yet. We've got a long, long way to go. And if there is light at the end of the tunnel, but as long as we do things right, stick by the rules, follow the guidelines, I think we'll do okay. And this is what we've got to do. And on vaccinations, I urge people to go and get vaccinated if they're sent for, because it is the way out of this tunnel that I'm talking about, and it's got to be done. And I was just been for my second one this week, and great what's happening there in Alfred Barrow. It's going very, very well. And I've also received an update from, I'll give you a quote from Colin Cox. He sent me out this thing. Well, he sent it out to everybody. And the rates in Cumbria districts were below both the national and regional average rates, 55 and 69 new cases per 100,000 population. But 0 new cases are seen in the 85 plus age group. The only age groups to experience increase in new cases from previous weeks were the 25 to 34s, 55 to 64s age groups. Rates in Cumbria districts were below the average rates, as I've just said. Barrow and Furness also replaced Aldale in having the highest rate of new cases, 43 new cases per 100k. But we're below the national average, which is a good thing. We're on the way out of that. So I think that's really responsive. So with that, if there's anybody got any questions, or would anybody on the working group like to put in, I think Frank had a little action to give us. Frank?
Thank you, Bill. Yes, I did. I was asked to try and obtain some figures about the mortalities at Furness General Hospital, and I've got those, and I've got them from Phil Woodford, who's the Morecambe Bay NHS Corporate Affairs Director, and he tells me that since the beginning of the pandemic, there have been 254 deaths of patients at Furness General Hospital who had tested positive for COVID in the 28 days before they died. Those figures are slightly at variance with some figures that were published recently in the press. But I'm given an assurance by Phil Woodford that they are accurate as of 28th of February. So thanks, Bill.
Lovely. Thanks very much for that, Frank. Just on another note, I was made aware also that care homes, following the peak in January, we have seen the huge drop in new outbreaks in care homes. So that's a good thing as well when it comes to that. So also, the vaccination programme has ramped up in the last week, with more than 220,000 people in Cumbria now having received at least their first dose. And vaccinations are now open to everyone in cohorts 1 to 9. These are through the NHS sites, not through your GP sites. So if you've not had one, phone up the NHS sites if you want, and go and get your jabs, because they are available. But your second one would have to be in these places as well, not in your GPs. So that's where we are with that. I don't know if anybody's got any questions, or if John would like to add anything on that, John.
Yeah, I can just give you a quick update as well locally, and this is only to do with the Alfred Barrow surgery. by the end of this week, which I think will be Saturday, we will be doing, we'll have done 35,600 people will have had their jab, covering first and second doses. The Rotary Club has volunteered 4,150 hours of free work. We've worked 46 days covering 53 plus clinics, and the volunteers have included 38 from the Rotary Club and 30 friends and family who have been down there since December doing that. So it's been an absolutely tremendous effort by everyone. So a bit of information for you there.
Yeah, well done. Thanks, Martin. You are doing a fantastic job down there at, excuse me, in the Alfred Barrow place. I must agree. I went from a second one. It went smoothly, no problem, the way it's going, controlled in and out. I would just like to say, before I finish it, yeah, I urge people to go and get that jab because it is a must. And I think it's the only way we're going to fight the visible enemy, and that is our tool against it, is the vaccination. So do go and get it to everybody out there. Just another thing for John. John, the marshals, I don't know how well they're doing. I don't see a report or anything like that. I just wondered if we could get one of the marshals, if they were willing, to come along to it and talk to us about any problems they've got, because I think it would be better coming from the horse's mouth rather than an officer telling us that they're doing okay. I think if they would like to talk, they might not like to come along, but I think if that's possible, John.
Yeah, I'll ask. They don't work for the council.
No, well, but they're doing the stuff for the public, the Barrow public. That's where I'm coming from. Yeah.
Just for the information, I've got two hats on here. Of course, I'm the president of the Rotary Club of Furness, and I was the one that kicked it off with the council, which is why we're all down there. So I can provide updates. Now, I don't know if that will be a conflict of interest, or we could get somebody else along.
I'm not on about the Rotarian marshals at the centres. I'm on about the ones that's going around the streets helping people.
Oh, right. Sorry, Bill. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's no problem, Malcolm.
Okay. Thanks,
John.
Bill.
Yes, I see you shaking your head. No problem. Okay, that's me. Thank you.
Okay. Have you any questions for Bill? Anybody on COVID? No. Thank you for that, Bill. 314. Derek is not with us, but I do understand from Derek on internal communications. I think you have a report, do you, Bev?
Yeah, I've got a very short report from Derek. So, what he's asked me to say is that linking back actually to the COVID working group at 3.1.3, there's a note there about the IT equipment, and so as part of the IT strategy, there is a plan to review IT equipment. A task and finish group is in development to discuss councillor IT needs, and that will involve a small group of councillors, including those with experience of IT and those who are less confident. So hopefully, as we move forward, and certainly it's come to the fore during COVID, that we do need a better IT system to be able to communicate with each other. So that was one from Derek. The second one is a councillor briefing recently took place around the draft new customer services strategy, and our working group got to see that strategy in advance and comment. And what we asked for was that the final strategy, well, the action plan linked to the strategy included soft and hard success measures, such as, but not exclusively, measuring an increase in online use, a reduction in demand and positive feedback from customers. And we felt that we get very positive feedback about the new strategy, but that was the bit that we felt needed to be included for the future about how it was going to be measured. And so, and that's the feedback from Derek.
Okay, thanks, Bev. And there'll be a continuation of all these activities over the coming months anyway, won't there? Yeah. Just on that, that email that you put out, John, I'm sure it was yourself, maybe a couple of 3 weeks ago, asking members what they had or needed on their iPads and laptops. Did that go anywhere, or is it part of what Bev said?
Yeah, so what's happened now is that we've got 3 tablets for members to test. We need licenses for these because they use Microsoft. So the licenses have been purchased and now need adapting, and then they're going to be handed out to members, hopefully by the end of next week. So we're going to have a list of things we want you to test. So you'll get emails to them. We want you to be able to download documents from the emails and store them in folders, that sort of thing, access the internet and see if it does everything you need it to do.
Okay, thanks, Frank. From a laptop point of view, and chairs do have laptops, they don't do much else. I mean, it's £1,000 piece of equipment that don't do much else except have Zoom on them. And it would be handy if they had a calendar on them and maybe Outlook on them and other bits and pieces on them, because they're a waste of time. Is there any chance of that happening?
Well, there is, but the reason chairs were given it, and it was officers did consult with chairs, was that chairs said that when they're chairing a meeting, they can't look at Zoom and the papers on the same piece of equipment. So we gave you a laptop specifically for the Zoom, and you download your reports on your iPad. So at the moment, they're serving the purpose that they were put out there for.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And all I'm alluding to is when the iPad doesn't work, which is quite regular, all the calendar meetings are on the iPad. So you can't get on, it's all right having Zoom on your laptop, but if you can't get on your iPad to get the login details, you're a bit stumped.
Yeah.
It should be good if it was on, even just the calendar was on a laptop. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the tablets will have your email and calendars on.
Okay,
So
thanks, John.
Yeah,
Thanks.
The iPads were designed for being in the town hall at a committee meeting without paper. And because of COVID, we had to update them as quickly as we can. And that's why they're in the situation they are. And we know they're not perfect. And we know there is an issue between Apple products, which the iPad is, and Microsoft products.
Yeah.
Which is one of the, I think if you go into Teams on your iPad, you can't raise your hand because that's not a problem with the iPad. That's the Teams have put that restriction in place.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, John. Thank you, Bev. Any questions for Bev on that agenda item, or John? Have you got? Is that your hand up from before, Steve?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, thanks for that, both.
Yeah, the only comment, Martin, is that the customer service strategy that Bev mentioned, a draft went to the executive committee yesterday, and the final one, I understand, is going to go to the exec in July.
Okay.
So between now and then, Scrutiny need to have a good look at it and make sure it is going to deliver what we're expecting it to deliver.
Okay, and when will that be coming out to us?
Well, this is the last meeting of the current year.
Yeah.
I think the first meeting is something like the 6th of May in the next year. So as soon as we have the first meeting, that will come to you.
Right, brilliant. Thank you, John. 315, outside bodies. Have we any update on this, either Colin or John? I know it says it's a laborious process because a lot of outside bodies don't have websites and things like that.
Yeah, it's been difficult. I got a list off Katie of the outside bodies, and I tried to contact a number of them. The bigger ones didn't reply. But the smaller ones, they haven't got websites or email addresses, so I've written out to them. And I don't even know whether some of them still exist.
Right.
So I think hopefully when we get back to normal-ish, we will get people responding. I think members have got to decide, is there any value in an elected member being on these outside bodies? Because it's our decision, it's not the decision of the outside body. They just make a request.
And I think that was the whole idea of the to scrutinise it, wasn't it? To find out what value are these adding. So maybe it might be we'll just delete them all, and if anybody phones up and says, why are you not attending the meeting, you've found somebody then.
Well, that might be the reason, the way to do it, because, you know, as a number of members have said, they're on these outside bodies, but I've never ever attended a meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, John.
I was going to say, Chair, would it not be possible to contact each member that's on these outside bodies and ask them how often they meet?
Yeah, you can do that. That's good.
Yeah, that
The
makes sense.
only one I know that does work meet on a regular basis is the Barra Sea Cadets. they meet once a month. But obviously at the moment they're not, no meetings because of the situation.
Okay, so can we take it from that, Colin? Are you going to phone round or contact members?
Well, I'll email them. I'll email them, Martin.
Oh, well, okay. All right, thank you both. Any questions of Colin or John on that item? No. Okay, dokie. Now, 316 flooding on Walney. Now, I'm hoping Frank's going to give us a bit of an update here. We've received a request to review the imminent flooding on Walney Promenade. John has said that information is still being collected, and given that information and the seriousness, maybe there's a possibility of including it on the work programme for 21-22. Now, I know there's several elements to this, and one is obviously to do with United Utilities. We have no authority to scrutinise, obviously, United Utilities. They're a privately owned company. I suppose the question I would ask, would it be possible to ask them questions to get some progress or something? So anyway, over to you, Frank, if you want to.
Well, thanks very much, Martin. Yeah, I know. I'll just speak very, very quickly about my division, South Walney. We've got big problems over there. Thorny Nook Lane, I mean, it's like Venice 2 weeks ago. But the County Council is taking action there. We've swept the lane, and a geographic survey of the area is being carried out. Beyond that, some drainage works will be put in place. Regarding the promenade, I know that Mel Worth, the member for North Walney, County Councillor for North Walney, has been trying to find a remedy to this for some years. And basically, the problems are there's raw sewage from the United Utilities access hole adjacent to Walney Park Bowling Club. There's also flooding of the playing field next to the bowling club, and especially when there's unusual weather events, heavy rain, flood water spills into the bowling club compound. And Mel Worth's been having discussions with the bowling club people to try to find a solution. Now, this has been reported to United Utilities on several occasions, and they sometimes send a water wagon to drain the flooded area. But they say that they are short of funds to bring about a permanent solution. And I think they said that they intend to investigate further, and they're waiting for funding to apply for approval from Natural England to enable them to carry out further inspections. I'm sorry, that's a bit clunky. I didn't write it myself. That's the note that I've received from county councillors.
Okay, thank you, Frank. That's an interesting one. I think
So there
I've really heard one.
There it is, yeah, I mean, it's unusual weather events of recent years have caused flooding and coastal erosion, and this thing on the prom with United Utilities is a biggie. Anybody that goes over there can see the flooding after bad weather. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, and I suppose coming along now and again to pump it out actually does not solve the problem. It's only it's a temporary solution, isn't it? It's a sticking plaster. What's the proposal for this one? What do we think it should be added to the overview and scrutiny to scrutinise and look into, or are you thinking something else?
Chair, if I may, I mean,
can I come in?
Of course you can, Bill. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Frank, for that. Yeah, as Frank knows, Kevin Hamilton, we took it to the Community and Places Board, Scrutiny Board in County, and put it to them that we want something done here because of the state it's in. Frank was there as well. I know it's Frank over there on Walney. And Scrutiny are now looking into this with United Utilities, as Frank's just said. So if County can do something about it to get this sorted, this is all good stuff. Also, as I am chair of the highway subgroup, we invite United Utilities along to our meetings. So we are inviting them along to the next one. Hopefully they can attend, and we will discuss this again fully whether we can get an answer off them. But Frank's absolutely right. It is a terrible thing that's going on with the sewage. Plus the fact I did mention it at the Scrutiny community in places. They're talking about putting another 600 houses, maybe plus over in Wally Island, which is going to cause more and more damage to the sewage. So it's a big ASAP. It's got to be done right away. So I think we should try and do something here as well as the county, and then it's a partnership working group getting it together. So we are looking at it, as Frank knows. Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely agree. Anita?
Yeah, thanks, Martin. I think Frank's answered a lot of it, because I was actually in contact with United Utilities over this, and they're actually waiting for some funding. And I think it's this month that they should find out whether they've got it. But what the chap I spoke to said was the tank that goes over, well, there's the piping that goes over the water to the college, near the college, and then it goes to Roos, and the tank is not coping, and it may need another tank putting in there to cope with the flooding. So they are going to get back to me to let me know about the funding, whether they've got the funding and that. But I have said to him, with that, it doesn't matter how they look at it, something has got to be done about this, because this has been going on over 5 years.
Yes.
And when it's raw sewerage, and I know it's actually gone into the toilets and what have you in the bowling club, but at the end of the day, we have got young children playing in that area as well, going to that area. So to me, it really is a health hazard. And I've said, and it's got to be dealt with one way or another.
Thanks, Anita.
All right, thanks, Martin.
You're welcome, Frank.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks to the other members for helping tidy up, especially Bill. Bill's really brought it into sharper focus. Regarding whether or not we can scrutinise United Utilities, obviously we'll be guided by the officers on this. But I think that any organisation, regardless of what the organisation is, if that organisation's operations are having a negative effect on council taxpayers in the borough of Barrow, as a minimum, we should be able to ask them questions and ask them what they're going to do about it. That's my view. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Frank. On that note then, John, can this be added to the overview and scrutiny plan for 2021-22 now, or do we have to wait till after the 6th of May?
Well, it can be added now, but it'll need to be agreed on the 6th of May, and then it'll need to go to full council, because our plan goes to full council as part of the annual report.
So we can't put a committee together, but we can agree that we
can do things in the meantime. In addition to the Cumbria County scrutiny, Cumbria County have got a work group called Making Space for Water, which has existed for probably 10 years now. And they're supposed to be looking at flooding incidents in Cumbria. And it is on there. It's just they haven't done anything for quite a while. And Barrow Council does have officers that are on that group. And I think I put in my report to members that the officers are going to raise it again at the next meeting, because I think United Utilities also attend that group.
Okay, thanks, John. So can I ask then, are members happy with a show of hands to add that activity to the scrutiny plan? Are we happy with that, everybody?
Yeah. And if I can, Chair, I mean, this is an ASAP. This is health and safety. Yes. This, when you're talking sewage spillage, open sewage, it's got to be really done. Thanks for that, John, as well. I didn't know about that working group, by the way. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any reason why we can't put a working group together to look at it now. All you're doing is background investigations. Are we happy to do that? Okay.
Yeah.
sounds like that's a positive. On that note, the obvious next question is, we need a committee. Bill's got his hand up.
Yeah.
Anita's got a hand up. And Frank, I don't think it needs more than 3. Oh, no, Colin's got his hand up as well. So that looks like a good start. We will need a chair for that committee. Could I let that discussion between the 4 of you and come back, and we will then have a committee, and you can obviously begin your preliminary investigations. Please invite me along. I've no problem with going along to that to see what's going on.
That's
Okay.
a must, Martin. Yeah,
Martin.
that's got to happen. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Is that okay, John?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions on that one before we move on? No, thank you. Okay, agenda item number 9, update report from the Corporate Parent Working Group, and I think that's you, Bev.
Yeah, I'm hoping that with Scrutiny's agreement that this is the final corporate parenting report for this group. The corporate parenting group have been meeting for quite some time, a couple of years, and they started from a base of 0. There was nothing clear in the council, in any policies, any documentation anywhere around our corporate parenting role. That has moved on significantly. The corporate parenting group was set up, and it was a partnership corporate parenting group as opposed to just the borough council. There are county council were on it, and local providers of services to kind of move us forward. And where we are now, there's a real clear flow of information from us to the Cumbria Safeguarding Children's Partnership and back to us. We get lots of information. The group still continue. Well, it's been difficult. Information has been shared. You know, we've been trying to meet, but it has continued throughout COVID. But one of the things that's happened recently is there's a new Barrow Children and Families Partnership, which is a local children's trust in Barrow. It's chaired by Sam Plum, our chief executive, and that wasn't there at the beginning. And it's clearly linked to safeguarding, corporate parenting, early help, and it's got all of the necessary partners on from the Barrow area. And what we've been doing is we've been feeding our corporate parenting issues, priorities, you know, pieces of work through that partnership. And so for me, it seems like that's the best place for it to sit now, as opposed to Scrutiny. Before there wasn't anything, and so it was Scrutiny. You know, we've got a new safeguarding policy that clearly states our corporate parenting priorities. You know, and we've now got a designated safeguarding lead. You know, we've got an elected member champion. You know, and all of that is in place. So my recommendation now, based on the report, is that this scrutiny is concluded, because it will continue and it's got a place to sit. So, you know, if anybody's got any questions, or if you agree that, you know,
thanks, Bev. Before we close that one out, has anybody got any questions for Bev on the corporate parenting? No. Just on that then, Bev, I mean, as usual, outstanding piece of work. The right person to do it, obviously. A lot of work has been done. We've come from nothing to significant improvements, avenues of information, all sorts of good things have taken place here. And as a group, I'm very pleased, and I'm sure members of the scrutiny are very pleased, and I'm sure officers and the council will reap the benefits of the work that you've carried out. So thank you very much, Bev. And I would agree that, yeah, we should close this one out now and let it take its course, if we're happy to do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. And on that note, that concludes everything on the agenda, everybody. So thank you very much for your time. Keep safe, and we'll see you around and about.
Yes.